Getting ready and set to go green here for round number 11 of the 2023 FBRL Hardee's National Series season. We have reached the halfway point of the year. 11 races in of 22. DJ Curtis in his first start of the year on pole position alongside the defending series champion Nick Breeding. 90 laps here at Kansas, 2 pit stops needed, green flag in the air here at Kansas. There was no practice this week due to weather, so the only laps that have been set on this track this weekend have been in go or go home qualifying and regular qualifying. So these are the first proper race trim laps for these teams. And still, Poti was looking for 4 wide, and wisely backed out of that one. That was interesting. But DJ Curtis, the last year's Sony Cup Series Championship runner-up. Not exactly having the best season in the Sony Cup Series so far, but him and Cybertron Team Motorsports are hoping that this could be a potential morale booster race as he leads the opening laps here, as this is the battle for second. Edward Ziemba, Richard Johnson, and Bradley Bishop Jr. battle for second. 3 wide for the spot. Richard Johnson trying to clear in the middle lane. Breeding, who started on the outside pole, he is slowly kind of drifting back a little bit here. He is, I think, maybe still trying to get to grips with the car, but he's lost at least 4 positions here in these opening laps. 6 laps in, and this field is super tight right now as Christian Vargas and Bishop get together there in turns number 3 and 4. They're 4 wide. For a brief moment there as, oh boy, this is getting close. But Vargas and Bishop made contact. Entering turn number 3, that could have been disastrous, but they hold it together there. It's 4 on behind as Marchese now tries to slip underneath the 14 of Corey Williams. Well, if there's any team that's kind of been disadvantaged by the lack of practice, I think it's this 14 of Corey Williams, as he's lost some spots here in these opening laps, as he is 12th. Well, actually he hasn't really lost spots, but he hasn't really moved anywhere. You know, this 14 team, I mean, they've been really quick in pretty much every race this year, and I think without the practice they've actually lost a bit of a step this weekend, as he is now being put 4 wide with Butcher and Kyle Collins, as Collins slides up towards the wall to give Butcher room. They hold it together, and Butcher makes a nice maneuver to gain some places there. So Butcher is on the move, and he's trying to get himself towards the front here, as Corey Williams, the points here, finds himself in a cyclone. Oh, we got a problem here. Stuart Gran's in trouble. The 16 is off the pace, and he's got right side damage. And, oof. Well, the engine doesn't sound good, but something seems to have gone wrong in the 16. They're bringing it to pit lane. We're not quite sure what the problem is, but he is going to lose some laps here, it looks like. At least 1. So let's see what happens to Stuart Gran here. Gran was running in 39th at the time, which I think speaks to, something definitely was wrong with the 16, as Gran coming off the 2nd place at Talladega last week, but as, Gran, something broke on the car. It sent him way up the track and into the 69 of Kukulon. So something, I think, in the suspension just broke, because that was very sudden. That was very lucky to not be a wreck, but I think that explains why Gran was off the pace. Something was deathly wrong with the 16. Bradley Bishop Jr. has caught up to DJ Curtis, is now challenging for the lead. Bradley Bishop Jr., who was a title contender last year, now racing in the Truck Series this year. Running a part-time schedule for Joseph Srigley Racing this year, and he's done well in his limited starts so far. And he'd love to try and see if he can pick up a win here at Kansas. He's got some very stiff competition from DJ Curtis he's going to have to deal with here. But he's hanging right with him for the time being. Nick Breeding, on the other hand, he has seemed to have made up the places he lost at the start. The 9 seems to perhaps have a long-run car of sorts, because Breeding has all of a sudden really picked up the pace, so I think they're counting on a long run here. Now, remember, Nick Breeding won here last year, and he had a really strong car. He dominated that race last year, and I think he won by about 6 or 8 seconds, so Breeding has proven that this is a track that he can do very well out here, and he would love to get back-to-back wins here if possible. Here's Noah Hard, who is fresh off a tumble, I guess you can call it, at Talladega. Went up and over, racing back to the caution flag, and ended up skating down the apron. So Hart's now running in the top 10. Now, it's been a very inconsistent season for Hart so far. Had a couple of good strong runs to begin the year, but has sort of fell off. And he's trying to compete with his teammate Nick Breeding at the front here, as there's James Shelley in the 81 car for Sanders Performance Autosport. This 81 car is sitting outside the top 30 Norris points, and you know that Spa is really counting on Shelley to get a good run for them today. Shelley drove this car at Dubai and really struggled, but he seems to have found a bit of a different groove here this weekend in this 81 car. Now for second, Breeding has now got to the 11 of Bradley Bishop Jr. But this is where it gets difficult. Turns 3 and 4, the outside line is very good. And turns 1 and 2 is sort of favorable towards the bottom lane, but the outside on this track is very strong, so you can kind of pass basically at any end of the racetrack, depending on how strong your car is, as Breeding comes up to slide in front of the 11 to take second place. So Breeding in the 9, he has really picked up the pace right now. He has got a really good long-run car. And he's now going to make a run at DJ Curtis here. Stuart Gratton is back on track, but he is now 7 laps down, as they had to go under the car to investigate whatever problem they have. We were being told it was some sort of suspension problem, but they were able to at least address it to get it back on the racetrack here. But Gratton's day is pretty much done, 7 laps down. Although he's going to have an interesting situation here, because he's pitted for fresh tires, which means he's basically running almost a second quicker than the rest of the field. So he's going to try to at least get one of his laps back here. James Ellison making a nice move on the outside line, trying to get around Ryan Reed, Lockrow, and Daniel Bouchard. This is the battle for 28th right now. Ellison is slowly working his way through the field. Ellison coming off his first career win at Talladega. And what was a very exciting win, to put it mildly here, as they're trying to now use that race as a bit of a rocket pad to launch themselves forward here, as Ellison's been kind of struggling for pace on some of the intermediates this year, but they're trying to see if that win at Dega can spur a bit of increase in pace from Ellison, as he does get around Bouchard, but unfortunately was not able to get around Reed. Still a long way to go for Ellison, but definitely not exactly the start to the weekend I think he was hoping for. Here's Shade Eves in 27, driving the only Mitsubishi in the field this weekend. Currently running in the, 23rd position here. As this 27 car is basically looking to just get a decent finish at this point, because this 27 team, every race they've basically made, they've been kind of cursed, and Granted, Talladega is one thing, and so is Daytona, but still, you know, Eves has had some very interesting starts in this 27 car, that's for sure. Getting involved in the finish of the Daytona race, and then running out of gas last week, and then causing a caution. But right now, Eves is just trying to get some good laps here for Spark Sport, as their entry into the Hardee National Series has not exactly been the most enjoyable for them so far. But Eves has been doing a pretty solid job in the Sony Cup Series this year, and they're hoping that he can keep building upon this team. As there's Stuart Gratton, you know, he's running basically when he's not in traffic, he's running over a second quicker than the rest of the field. You can see the difference in pace on fresh tires. And by the way, this is only 7 lap different tires roughly. So that just goes to show that this is a very tire-heavy race. This is about 3 to 4 seconds of fall off towards the end of the run here as we're heading towards the first pit stop of the day. Here's Anthony Marchese making one of his limited starts in the Hardee National Series this year. And coming off what was a very controversial crash at Talladega when he slid up into Corey Williams coming off of turn 2 with a couple of laps to go and caused a wreck which put the points leader out of contention. As you can see, Corey Williams is right behind these guys as well, running at 13th. And Marchese drew a lot of criticism from that incident because, you know, he's a former series champion. And I think a lot of people were really surprised by what happened. And I think Marchese's hoping to try and basically put that whole weekend behind him. And he had a good run in the 77 car back at Homestead earlier in the year. So they're trying to replicate that same success this weekend. But right now he's got his hands tied with Kev Shear as they bow for 11th place here. So we're starting to head towards the first pit stops of the day. DJ Curtis and Nick Breeding continue to lead up here at the front. Curtis 0.5 seconds ahead of Breeding, and they are 2.5 seconds ahead of Dylan Pote, who sits in 3rd place here. As Bradley Bishop Jr. is going to kick off the pit cycle here. He's going to come to pit road first and go for the undercut. And he's going to bring, well, no surprise there, Jeff James with him. Gallon Downey back there, you can see in the top right corner for a brief moment. He's coming to pit road first as well. Curtis and Breeding respond. They now come to pit road as well. They will surrender the lead to Dylan Pote, who now gets up towards the front. So Pote, he's going to lead a lap here. Oh, we got trouble. Lane Sanders is in the wall. Lane Sanders is in the walls. He's been wrecked, and the caution will come out for the first time today. Sanders got sent into the wall by somebody. Might have been Ryan Butcher in the 8 car. We'll have to take a look at that again. But the caution's out right in the middle of the pit cycle here. And that's not exactly the best timing for a caution. Sanders' rear is absolutely dismantled. That thing got caved in really badly here. So luckily there was only the rear. So they should be able to get the car rolling again. That's unfortunate for Lane. So let's see what happens to Lane Sanders here. As Ryan Butcher, whoa, Butcher coming way down to the 41, all the way to his door, and then comes up and dumps the 97 of Sanders. What on earth was that? Car high, I guess. Let's look at this again here. Collins checks up for the 40 of James Silverfox. And then Butcher, he just runs right against the door of Collins. That is very aggressive. And then Butcher just comes up and then just slams the 97. Now, Sanders did come down, but I think he was just arcing the corners. So I don't think that was necessary by Butcher. I'm not sure what what that move was, because that first one thing to door Collins on the straightaway, then to basically just come up and pretend Sanders wasn't even there and put him in the wall. Well, we're now under caution here at Kansas. And so here's what's happened here. A couple of guys here were in pit road when the caution came out, and they're going to get a wave around here. So Downey, Aiden Smith, Dunn LaPrade, Sebastian Kukalon, Justin Henley, and Alexander Rowe are going to get waved around. And I believe this would mean, because they were the wave round because they stayed out, that means Stuart Gratton is going to get the lucky dog. So he will go. So Gratton was 7 down. He got one of his laps back under speed and will now get the lucky dog, which will put him 5 laps down. So Gratton makes up 2 laps from the 70 loss. So, well, he's going to need about 5 more cautions, at least, depending no one else falls a lap down, to get back on the lead lap. So that caution shook up the order a little bit. Dylan Potey was 3rd at the start of the pit cycle. He's now been dropped to 21st, so that was a bad bit of business right there for a couple of guys who has stayed out that extra lap. It's benefited some, though, as well. James Elson was just barely around the top 30. He's now up to 16th. Ryan Griffin now up into 15th. Wow, really solid here. As we're approaching the halfway point, Ryan Griffin for Crossroads Racing in the top 20. Top 15 even. Well, here we go for the restart here. DJ Curtis is still your leader. He has led every non-pit related lap so far today. As right now it seems to be the 19 and the 9 seem to be the drivers to beat. But remember, there was no practice. So every adjustment right now is super vital, because it's the only adjustments you're going to get for the whole weekend. So let's see what's changed here. Green flag in the air. Breeding gets a good star in the 9. He got a way better launch than the 19 did. He's going to go up to the right side of DJ Curtis to try and get next to him in turns number 1, as they are 3 wide already, as Jeff James from 6 is looking for 3rd from Edward Ziemba. And for the lead here comes Breen to the inside of the 19. Breeding side by side with the 19 of DJ Curtis. Breeding knows he needs to make this pass. With how even these two were at the end of the run, Breeding wants to get that track position here. Here comes Breeding to try and clear the 19, but Curtis fights back here on the outside. Nick Breeding, he really wants to take this lead here, as Curtis on the outside tries to come up. Breeding shuts the door on the 19, cuts off the arrow, and Curtis falls to 2nd place. So a very nice pass from Breeding to take the lead here at Kansas. Here comes Curtis now trying to fight back, but he gets loose entering turn 2. The 19 really unsettled there, as Curtis, I think, may have slightly overdrove the corner. But Breeding takes the lead, and Curtis is now trying to regroup himself from an almost spin. And meanwhile, they are 3 wide in multiple areas here. Here's Ryan Griffin, Corey Williams, and James Silverfox running 3 wide for what I believe is 12th. Yes, it's for 12, as Corey does clear the 40 and the 31. That 14 really struggled on that first run. So you have to imagine they made some big adjustments to this 14 car to try to get it back under its more typical pace. Christian Vargas in the 51 has got a run for third place on Edward Ziemba. And he really powers through that corner. Wow, that was a nice corner from Vargas. He gets the 22 and he's looking for the 19 as well. Vargas was running in the top 5 for a good chunk of that run, but he didn't have the pace that this top 2 had. But now he's thrown himself in the mix here. They must have made some really good adjustments for Vargas because he has all of a sudden come to life in the 51. He's now trying to clear the 19 there, trying to clear the their alliance teammate of Cybertron Motorsports here, as Ziemba now shoving the 51 through turns number 1 and 2. Ziemba trying to stick a nose in there, but Vargas is trying to hold him off and pass the 19 at the same time. Vargas in the bottom, Curse on the top there. This is still the battle for second place, as Vargas is not giving this up, and neither is DJ Curtis. And Breen, despite the battle happening behind him, he can't seem to pull away from these two. This is a really good battle here. Vargas is trying to pass this 19 as best he can here. Flipside Motorsports would love to beat the team above them in the Alliance in the Sony Cup Series here in the Hardee Series. And Vargas has been really good this year. He's been really consistent. He's been really quick. Almost won in Nashville as he now looks for the lead from Nick Breeding. This is the big battle for the lead right now, and it's kept the top 10 all stuck together here, as no one can seem to pull away. Oh boy, this looks like trouble as Corey Williams shoves the 63 of Eric Rodriguez through the exit of the corner. There's Johnson look for 4 wide to back out of it as Shelley came down. Oh boy, that was close. But that's going to cost Richard Johnson some spots, but that was probably the right decision because that was going to be really bad either way. But man, look at this right now. This is insanity as Hart comes up to block the 31 of Griffin as Marchese sticks the nose in there. And now Silverfox tries to make a pass as well. Up and down, this is absolute insanity right now. Everyone's just racing the hell out of each other. No one can seem to really make too much progress. Well, that caution, I think, really helped Corey Williams here because he was struggling to keep inside the top 15. He has now all of a sudden picked up the pace and has now reached 8th place, battling Eric Rodriguez for 7th. As he now battles Bradley Bishop Jr. for the spot as well. Corey Williams has just been amazing this year. Currently the points leader with a win. He has finished in the top 10 almost every race this season, an absurd amount of top 5s. He has had an absolutely incredible first half of the season. And he's trying to make a big comeback here from where he was before. But he's got Jeff James next to him, who is third in points, trying to run him down in the point standings. Fortunately, Jeff James did not exactly have the best Talladega race himself. Kyle Collins was, for a brief moment, running in the top 15 at the start of the race, but unfortunately his 41 car has they've gone through some troubles here. Collins currently running in 30th. Racing Joshua Michaels in a 75 as, Michaels came down to pinch him. And Collins, who is Collins has had a bit of a weird year. He's was really he's almost won both the road course races we had. Wasn't able to finish those races off. But last year, Collins really struggled on a lot of the ovals, and I think a lot of people were really expecting him to make some improvements this year, but so far that just hasn't been the case. Collins has really been struggling on the ovals again this year, and it's he's kept his car clean for the most part, which is why he's still in the top 3 in points, but you definitely get the sense that this 41 team they're not at the level of his teammates right now. And I think they're hoping that the second half of the year coming up will be better for Collins. As much as we love road course here in the FBRL, it is an oval-dominated organization, and if you want to be successful, you really got to start picking up the pace on ovals. And unfortunately, Collins has not really been able to do that, at least not on a consistent basis. Christian Vargas is now making an attempt at the lead against Nick Breeding. We saw Breeding and Curtis have strong, long-run cars, and that seems to still be the case. But Vargas might have one even stronger there, as Vargas runs down to the bottom lane. Side by side for the lead, Vargas pulls ahead slightly of the 9. But this is where the outside and middle are the strongest. It's in turns 3 and 4. Vargas is going to have to try and slide up and clear the 9, but can't do it. That move that Breeding did to take the lead from Curtis, that's what Vargas, I think, is going to have to do here, as Vargas does take the lead. But can Vargas slide up and take the spot? No, not quite yet. Breeding on the outside, still fighting back, keeping with the 51's quarter panel. And here goes Breeding now. He goes to the high side. And he's going to get a massive run through 3 and 4. That was a really good corner for Breeding, and that's going to give him the lead back. Vargas almost had him clear, but Breeding kept his nose in it and is now trying to clear the 51 back for the lead, and he does it. Excellent defensive work by Nick Breeding to keep the lead, or quote-unquote get it back from Vargas. And now Vargas now to the bottom lane, trying to now get underneath the 9 again. He wants a second go at it. Meanwhile, here comes Curtis now behind. He's going to follow the 51. Not surprising there. You want to follow your manufacturer friend there. And now look at this. Kev Shear in 4th place. Corey Williams is now up to 5th. He's now looking for 4th from Shear. And I think now these guys are realizing they are seeing that orange 14 behind, and the pace has picked up. Now you need to really get that lead, because it's not going to get any easier if Corey Williams has got his car back under pace. Well, back up to pace, I should say. Vargas retakes the lead for a brief moment, as him and Breen just can't get off each other. This is an absolutely incredible battle for the lead between two drivers of varying experiences. The defending series champion and Christian Vargas, the highest running rookie of the year. Here comes Curtis now to the top lane, trying to get a run on the 9. In the 51, he's going to get a really good turns 3 and 4. Curtis now looking for the lead. Breeding comes up to block the 19's run. This is really good stuff for the lead. Curtis now trying to retake second from Vargas. Curtis coming through 3 and 4. He is trying to get past his 51. As Vargas got a good run through 3 and 4. I think Brady may have slid up the track there off of 4. And that's going to open the door for the 51 again. But Curtis, though, he gets a good run through 3 and 4. He shoves the 9 of Brady back out towards the lead. It's hard to turn away from what has been an absolutely unbelievable fight for this lead. Here comes Curtis with a run again. Will Brady throw another block? He does! Oh, that was a late one, though. That was dangerous. That could have been disastrous if Brady had come up another centimeter. Breeding is throwing everything he's got against this 51 and 19, and now he's got more company. Here comes Scheer, here comes Williams. They are in the mix here. Bradley Bishop Jr. as well. Breeding trying to clear the 51. He does it again, so Breeding again holds off the challenge. This is a masterclass of a defense by Nick Breeding. He is putting on a show here at Kansas Speedway, showing why he's the defending series champion. Alright, back to something slightly more calm. Dylan Poteet, who fell outside the top 20 following pit stops, he is, unfortunately for him, he has only worked his way back up to 13th as Griffin and Sewer Fox made contact. So much for something more calmer. Jesus Christ. But Sewer Fox and Griffin just slammed into, well, not really slammed, but they made some pretty interesting contact there through the tri-oval, and that was a bit of a scary moment there. That could have been really bad. Not the first time those two have had a battle in the lower divisions this year, but I don't think it ever got as close as that did. Oh, look at this. Vargas changes his strategy. He goes to the top lane. He's got to run the 9. Vargas was trying to make the bottom work. He changed his lane. He faked Breeding out. And now he's going to try and use the top to take the lead from Breeding. And he does it. Vargas with a very good pass in the 9. He finally got past him again. And this time he cleared him. That was a really impressive pass by Vargas. He tried the top line for what felt like the first time today, but Breeding's got a response. Here he comes back on the outside. What is this, round 5? They just can't get off each other. Breeding now, he's back on the top lane where he had the success previously, and Vargas, I think he probably should have took the top, because he kind of let just Breeding get back into it here as the battle continues on for the lead. This might be the best battle we have had all season long, and probably one of the best ones in FBRL in quite some time. Vargas is trying so hard to fight this 9, but Breeding, he is just so precise, he's so consistent, he is just making this 51 work every lap for this, and it's working. And then what's also helping is everyone behind them is also racing like hell as well. Corey Williams has been trying to pass Scheer for the last 15 laps, but Scheer has also not been letting the 14 get an inch on him. As, Scheer gets a big run. The 19 now looking for third from DJ Curtis. We're being told people are pitting. The final stop of the day. Nick Breeding is going to pit from the lead first. So Breeding, he is going to prevent the undercut, and he is going to come to pit road. Jeff James in the 4 comes with him. The 93 of James Elson follows in. Once again, a shocker. Jeff James is undercutting. Come another couple of guys at the back of the field. Henley's coming to pit road. He's been off the pace recently. Something may have gone wrong with the 45 at some point. But this is the final stop of the day. Vargas now comes to pit road. DJ Curtis elects to stay out an extra lap. These guys are going to be pitting with roughly about 20 laps to go. So they want the freshest possible tires here at the end of the race, but they are going to be at risk of losing track position to some of the guys who are pitting first. Curtis and the 14. DJ comes to pit road. He's going to pit. But Corey Williams, he's going to go win another lap. Corey Williams, he really wants the fray. He just wants to spend the rest of this race hot lapping. No more tire saving for Corey Williams. I think they feel like they need to try something different here to get past the guys in front, but This is quite a strategy here for them to try to pull off here. They're not the only ones, though. Marchese, Locro, Poti, Shelley, they're trying the same thing. But the difference between Corey and them is that they are going to potentially fall deeper into the pack. But Corey Williams finally comes to pit road. And he'll pit with just under 20 to go. So check this out. Here's what happens on pit road. Jeff James and Nick Breeding pit together. Here comes the 4 out of his stall. But look at this. Breeding is still on the left side. Breeding had a terrible stop. Nick Breeding in the 9 team. A massively bad stop. As Jeff James gets in front of Nick Breeding. What happened on the 9th stop? Jeff James was about 2 seconds behind Breeding entering pit road. He's now going to come out over perhaps 2 seconds ahead. Let's watch Nick Breeding's pit stop here. I cannot believe this. You can see the gap from there, how big it was. So let's see here. Does something happen? They were really slow getting the right side up. That may have been part of it. And they were really, oh yeah, they had some trouble on the right side of the car. You can see the left side's a bit quicker. But yeah, that was just a really slow stop from the Rodriguez Racing team, and that's going to cost Nick Breeding the lead. And Jeff James gets in front of Breeding without even having to pass him on the racetrack. Corey Williams, Marchese, and a couple of others are in pit road. So here's Jeff James, who has gone out in front of both Vargas and Nick Breeding here. And we're going to see where Jeff James cycles out here. He's going to go past the 14, I believe, to take the lead. And he does. Jeff James takes the lead in the 4 car with 18 laps to go here at Kansas. Christian Vargas in 2nd place. He gets ahead of Breeding. Breeding has now fallen to 3rd after a disastrous pit stop from the 9 team. And how about James Ellison? Ellison was running just inside the top 20. Actually, he was running 22nd at the time that he came to pit road. He's now up to 4th. So the undercut for Ellison has worked massively here. He's passed 15 cars on undercutting alone. Not to mention a good stop. So Ellison, after what looked like a bit of a rough day, he's now in contention for a top 5 potentially. Speaking of 5s, Kev Shear in 5th place there. Bradley Bishop Jr. in 6th. Eric Rodriguez back up to 7th place. Brandon Beal, he's had a really quiet day. He's running in 8th place. DJ Curtis, who led the opening stint and dominated the start of this race, he's down to 9th. Now, he stayed out a few extra laps compared to some of the guys in front of him. But Curtis has now got his work cut out for him. 5.6 seconds behind Jeff James. And Griffin Lapo McDermott, he also pitted early. He's up to 10th. So pitting early worked out for a lot of these guys here. Corey Williams, who was in the top 5, he's now down to 15th. And with 15 laps to go, that's not a lot of time to make up time. But you can see a difference in speed there as Corey just immediately got to Edward Ziemba. I'll say his name right eventually. Corey Williams goes past the 22 to take 14th, but time's running out. And I'm not sure he's going to be able to get to his teammate Jeff James in time. Hold on a moment. The gap that Jeff James had, it was 1.8. It's down to 0.4. Christian Vargas is hauling it towards the 4 Jeff James. Now remember, Jeff James, he pitted first. So he's got the oldest tires. And Vargas is absolutely hauling it right now on this 51 car. Jeff James, who's got 2 wins using undercuts this year, he may have finally met his match here. Here comes Vargas in the 51 with a run. Vargas backed out for a moment there. He's trying to play patient with Jeff James. But Vargas now, with 12 laps to go, coming up on 11 here, seeing an opportunity. If he can get past the 4 of Jeff James for the lead. Jeff James is in a world of trouble. Christian Vargas is fast, he's hungry, and most importantly, he's got fresher tires here. But Vargas, though, he's kind of struggling as he got closer to the 4. The 51, I think, is kind of having an issue with the dirty air, but all he's got to do is just find some kind of opening to get the lead from the 4. Here comes Vargas with a run off of turn 4. Off of 4 to fight the 4 to take 10 laps to go at the line. Christian Vargas searching for his first victory in the Hardee's National Series. He's side by side with Jeff James through turns 1 and 2, down the back straightaway. Can he clear the 4? He's just got to get in front of him. Can he shut the door? He does! He comes up to shut the door on the 4. That cut off the 4 of Jeff James's momentum. That was exactly what Breen did to DJ Curtis to take the lead earlier in the day. And he used this, and Vargas probably saw that, and used the same maneuver to take the lead from Jeff James. Christian Vargas was a couple of laps away from a win in Nashville a couple weeks ago. Corey Williams is back outside the top 10. But he may not be alone here. Kev Shear has also picked up the pace in the 0 car. He pitted the same lap that Vargas did. He's now looking for second from Jeff James. Vargas might not be out of the woods here yet. Shear's going to make a run at it. Here comes Shear for second place against Jeff James. 7 laps to go here at Kansas. The rookie, Christian Vargas, for Flipside Motorsports leads, looking for Mercedes' first win in the Hardee's National Series. But he may have some company. Kev Shear is on the way in the 0 car. The former series champion. He's been on a roll these past couple of races. And Vargas is going to have a true test here to hold off Shear if he can. Oh, we got trouble! Ryan Butcher's in the wall! There's a wreck on the front straightaway! A massive melee off of turn 4 on the straightaways. Marks gets absolutely leveled by Cody Goforth. A massive wreck on the front straightaway. Is Grand Slim Bouchard. Caution's out. The race is gonna be over. This is the race back to the caution flag. Vargas goes through to take the yellow with 4 laps to go. A massive wreck on the front straight. And unlike Talladega, there won't be enough time to finish under green. Shade East has come to pit road. He may have got involved. Zachary DeLilo's in the pits. Stuart Grattan, he hit the hell out of Daniel Bouchard. Cody Goforth, Chase Marks, he got absolutely leveled. A couple of others got involved too. But that was nasty. Goodness gracious. Checking for damage throughout the rest of the field. I don't think anyone else got a major piece of it. Actually, no, Tim Fiegel, he's got damage on the hood. He must have clipped somebody. But I think he might be the only one. One of the most violent wrecks of the season here, and let's see what happens. Ooh, Lockrow. Oh, he slides into the 8 as they were 4 wide. Butcher goes hard in the rear into the wall. He got air. Goodness gracious, that car went all the way upwards, and just Butcher Lessard just got clobbered. Let's just say Butcher and Bouchard as Gran. Yikes. Ooh, just Lockrow, he just got a little too brave, and this is where Fiegel gets the damage as Fiegel with nowhere to go hits the back of the 35. And oh, Marks, goodness gracious, he went for a tumble. Goforth with, that is a lot of smoke from the 92 as well. See what happens to Goforth here. Oh, Goforth wins low. He did what he could to get out of the way, but Marks rebounded. Marks had nowhere to go. He hit whoever that was, and then Goforth just absolutely drilled him on the left side. And Vargas's car just went up in smoke and flames. Goodness gracious, I've never seen that much smoke come pouring out of a car before. Oof. Coming to take the white flag here, as this race is just about over. You can see the pace lights still on, even if they were to dim, they would not even get a lap to finish the race. But that will be the end of it here. Christian Vargas, depending the car can at least, crawl for about a lap. He is about to take his maiden victory here in the Hardee's National Series, and what was going to look like to be a very interesting battle between him and Kev Shear for the win has now ended with a massive wreck on the front straightaway, which took out several cars. Stuart Gratton is out of the race after clobbering into Daniel Bouchard. Zachary DeLello, who had nowhere to go, he got clipped. That destroyed the front radiator. Cameron Lessard, Bouchard, both got absolutely hammered. Butcher, who basically almost flipped over, he got his rear hit the wall with such impact it sent him almost into a front flip. And Cody Goforth and Chase Marks, that incident between those two was rough. Shade Eves, he clipped it, as you saw in the replays, so he was not able to finish the race. But coming off at turn number 4, probably not the way he ever envisioned it, but after coming so close so many times this year, Christian Vargas across the line, he will win his first ever FBRL Hardee's National Series race here at Kansas. Mercedes wins for the first time in the Hardee's National Series with Christian Vargas under caution. Kev Shear crosses the line to finish second. He must be really disappointed he didn't get a shot at Vargas. He was absolutely hauling it. Unfortunately, did not get the time he needed. Jeff James' undercut strategy gained him several positions, so it's not a win, but the same strategy worked out either way. He comes across to finish third. A much needed finish after last week. Nick Breeding crosses the line for fourth, and you've got to imagine how disappointed this 9 team is. Rodriguez Racing, that pit crew just really cost Breeding a couple of spots there. But a fourth is still a fourth. Bradley Richard Jr. crosses the line fifth after a really strong run today. James Ellison backs up his win from last week to finish sixth thanks to a really smart strategy call by his team. So he earns another top 10 finish. His second one in a row and his second one of the season. DJ Curtis, after leading the first 38 laps of the day, well, actually 35, he comes across to finish seventh. Eric Rodriguez completes the Flipside Motorsports top 10 with an 8th place finish. Nice day for him. Brandon Beal quietly finishes 9th. And Corey Williams on the last green flag lap passed Griffin Lapo McDermott for 10th. So Corey does get top 10 points. But definitely that overcut strategy did not work out as they envisioned it.